Hello, friends! How are you all doing today? Are you all full of joy and happiness? I certainly hope so. I am. I'm having a very good day. There is no schedule, there is no agenda. It is just going to be vibing with chat and talking to you guys. Wait, it should be over here, because chat's up there now. Yeah. And this is mostly just going to be a Q&A. I know that a lot of people who watch me either watch other VTubers or are VTubers or just have questions about VTubing and voice acting in general, and I figure, you know what? I can answer some questions. I can't answer all questions. Well, I can answer any question. I can't always promise my answers are going to be correct or useful though, but I can have some sort of answer to any question. So we can see how that goes. So yeah, I don't really have anything organized or planned other than saying, hey, feel free to toss me any questions, ask me anything. Have I ever played D&D before? If so, what is my favorite moment? That is a very good question. I have played D&D a very good amount. I actually ran a full campaign from start to finish that was 2 years ago. That was a ton of fun. Before I started doing this stuff, before I started VTubing, a lot of my creativity, a lot of my creative outlet was stuff like Dungeons and Dragons. So, my favorite moment of D&D. I can definitely cite out my least favorite moment, but my favoritist moment. Probably when I was GMing, I had a very amusing twist, and seeing the players slowly dawn the realization of what was going on felt incredibly satisfying. They had assumed that the race of Kenku were all going to be super evil jerks who were, you know, all necromancers, and they learned that the necromancer society was actually just a culture. It was a culture. They didn't understand the concept of death because they were literally all lich. They considered their first death to be the important one, and everybody in the society was a hierarchy based on how long they've been dead. Which is a cool concept, but the realization that they weren't inherently evil jerks, they just had been alive for hundreds and hundreds of years and didn't really have the same understanding of death. Because if they killed one of their neighbors, to them it was just they just came back in a few days, and it was just an inconvenience. It was an inconvenience to them. Death was. Like, and seeing the players realize that they weren't just cartoon villains, just evil McEviltons, was a really neat moment. What is the favorite stream I've ever done? I really enjoyed the Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania stream, where I didn't actually say any words during the entire stream. I just spoke in this Harakapampada. I just spoke in gibberish the entire time, in that draconic gibberish, and it was a lot of fun. Aside from that, probably hosting the Go Godot stuff. The Go Godot stuff was a ton of fun as well, and I look forward to doing that again. The Go Godot streams were really fantastic moments, and they helped me a ton in the channel growth, obviously, but also in my growth as a streamer. Just to get better at doing things. Like, because that was one of the first times I was really, really held accountable. You know, like, I was held accountable to a production level. I always hold myself accountable to production levels. Always. I have always held myself accountable to production. But that was when there were other people that were then holding me accountable to other stuff. You know what does that make sense? Aside from that, the only times I really had that was during collabs and during moments of moments of just my self-imposed panic. But that was the first time that I really had a strong a strong external pressure. A strong direct external pressure. And I handled it well. I mean, I genuinely think that I handled it very well and professionally, and it went extremely well. And I'm very proud of all those streams. And it ended up not being as different as I thought it was going to be. Like, I didn't really know how different it was going to be. But in my brain, I had filled in all these gaps and holes about how ridiculous and how hard and how extreme things were going to be. But it ended up just being fine. It just ended up being fine. I had over 100 concurrents there. How much do I remember of the 24-hour stream? All of it. I genuinely do remember all the 24-hour stream. I have been on 24-hour conscious many times, and as well as, aside from the stream, I've done that for anime conventions, both ones where I'm staffing or attending. So, it wasn't as big a deal to be awake for 24 hours for me as it would have been for some other people. So no, I do remember all of that, and I had a lot of fun with it, and I think I handled it well. The way I measured out my food, the way I measured out the audience participation. I had guests coming in throughout the entire thing at different points during the entire streaming event, as opposed to all at once, you know? And I even did a little bit of a ring fit exercise to keep my blood flowing as a way of making myself stay awake. So no, I remember all of that, and it was great. The thing that a lot of people forget to take a fourth meal. A lot of people forget to take a last meal of the day. Because if you're going to be awake for more than 24 hours, you need to stay fresh throughout the entire time. And the best way to do that is to have an extra meal. Have an extra meal in your stomach that is around 2 in the morning. That'll help you get through to when otherwise would become a breakfast. Now, I usually do intermittent fasting, so that usually is not an option for me, but I did break my intermittent fasting for that event. It's an event. It was an event, you know? It was an event, and I had to treat it as such. It is too bad that the stream didn't record. I mean, yeah. Now I know that. I did not know that. I did not know that streams that were longer than 10 hours were occasionally just not recorded by YouTube. If I had known that, I would have done it as 3 separate streams, but then I would have lost a bunch of viewers. So more likely I would have done it as one 24-hour stream and then 3 8-hour uploaded segments that were separately recorded if I had the hard drive space for that. I don't even know if I had the hard drive space for that. Anyways, yeah. I am/was a game designer, true. What's something that I have made? I mean, the easiest example for that is my backgrounds here. I mean, look at this. Look at... Those are all made in Unity. I made those myself in Unity. So, yeah, that's a real simple example of something that I've done. I did a port of yeah, I've done a few port games. I have helped out on a few indie projects and mods. Nothing. I doubt it would be anything that people would recognize. Too bad Tweet Stream didn't work out. That's true. Although you definitely saved the day on that one. I guess I'm not surprised, since I really do live in the middle of nowhere. Like, I do live like in a mountain that's 20-minute drive to the nearest anything, and 30 minutes to the nearest anything worthwhile. So, so yeah, I'm not surprised Tweet Stream didn't work out. I wish it was honest, because Tweet Stream was like, oh yes, this will work, and then repeatedly over and over and over, it kept on just failing, right? The Tweet Stream kept on having issues over and over and over again. That were unclear. It was the order going through and then being canceled because they saw how far away it was, but it still let me place the orders, you know? It still let you guys place the orders, and it let me set it up. It just was when they actually got the orders, they decided, you know what? Nah, I don't actually want to have that sent out. What are my favorite games? Now this, I'm going to list off a whole bunch here because that is just a super loaded question, right? And the idea of a quote-unquote favorite game, it has to be considered by genre, right? Different because different genres are so different that they're difficult to compare them to. But some of my favorite games, you know, I'm just gonna say some of my favorite games at the moment. If I go like favorite games of all time, then we're gonna be here like for a while. Final Fantasy VI is probably one of my favorite games of all time ever, and I will be playing Final Fantasy VI again in the near future. Next month, in fact. Next month, I'm going to be playing Final Fantasy VI, voice acting through the entire thing. It's going to be a delight, so please look forward to that. Bloons Tower Defense. Bloons Tower Defense 6 is the one that's current out, and I love it. I play a little bit of that almost every night. Final Fantasy XI is, I consider to be a flawed masterpiece. It is a very heavily flawed game that is still does certain things incredibly well, and in a way that will probably never be replicated again. The way it built a community, and the way that community was simultaneously had its toxic moments, undoubtedly. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it didn't, but it made a community that functioned on its own merit, and it was good. In more recent games, I guess Bloons is pretty recent, though. I love XCOM Chimera Squad. I think that really does solve some of the problems of the XCOM formula. It's easily my favorite XCOM game. Because I don't tend to stick to one game forever, I will play a game, enjoy it very much, like Dishonored or Sniper Ghost Warrior. Like Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts is one that I did on the channel. I did two. You know, I didn't do one. I could do one. It's a game that I enjoyed very much. But I played it, completed it, sat back and said, that was nice. And then moved on, because that's how I play games now. You know, I consume games rather than play the same game forever. Which is good and bad. Like, that's bad because as far as the channel goes, I know I would be better. I know I would be better served by sticking to one game and dedicating myself to it. You know, if this was an all Pokemon ROM hack channel, it would probably be doing better, honestly. I hate to say it, but it's true though. Just because that's something that the algorithms tend to prefer. I'm going to pull you guys down so you're a bit more prominent. This is a chat stream. So, anyways, that was a sort of a winding way of answering that question while more people filtered it in. Hello, Ali. And yes, all VTubers are in fact stinky. This is confirmed. So, the way I consume games is... Oh, hello, Magus. Hello, hello. Have I considered 3D VTuber avatars? I'll go back to some of the other questions here, but I see Magus, and I will answer that. Have I considered 3D VTuber avatars? I personally prefer live 2D. I like the way the model works and reacts, and I like the way the mocap is handled. I think for my character and my style, I'll probably stick with this. There's other VTubers out there who have the 3D models, and I don't know. I like the style. I've seen plenty of them, and the professional ones, the ones in Hololive and Nijisanji, all use Live 2D as well. And I do try to emulate their styles and try to keep myself on their level. You know, obviously they're far above me, but I want to emulate what they're doing, if that makes sense. And honestly, from Sapphire's question, what's my favorite collab moment from the 24-hour stream? Honestly, it probably was when I had both Magus and Cheeseness on at the same time, because it was like professional hour, right? Like, we have a professional game designer, we have a professional sound editor, and we have someone who has been in the professional industry for game design as well, all sitting back talking about our respective thoughts on some of the games that we were playing. That was a really cool moment, you know? I liked that moment. Well, there was a lot of good moments in that stream, though. Anytime I got to play a game while somebody who was playing it was actually watching, while I was playing it and giving their own developer feedback was good. Not the times when people were trying, like, no, you're doing it wrong. Like, you need to design your game so I can figure that out on my own. Obviously, that's important. But I liked giving people feedback and having them react to the feedback. That was very meaningful to me. And yeah, all those moments were delightful. All those moments were delightful. Oh, so, you're sorry to say this, but watching Sapphire and Tuzzy freaking out due to the sound cutting out. Okay. I'm gonna spill the bean here. That was me. That was on me. So I have some phenomenal headphones. My headphones are Bluetooth connected. Velco, it's a Finnish company. And I did the entire 24-hour stream on one charge. I did the entire 24-hour stream with without my headsets dropping. The only time I turned them off was when I went to go to the hot springs, where I left Sapphire and Tuzzy in charge for about 90 minutes or so. And when I left, I said, you know what? I need to make sure that these headphones are going to last. As I have a pair of backup headphones around here. Obviously, I have like 3 pairs of backup headphones, but these are my favorite. They have fantastic ANC. The sound quality is delightful. I love these things. Not sponsored. So I took off my headphones and I said, you know what? I'll give them an hour charge just to make sure they lasted. And real talk, they did. And then I went out to the hot springs. When I powered down my headset, OBS was using desktop audio capture and was giving the stream whatever audio was going through my headset. When I turned off my headset, my system settings naturally went back to my speaker audio. When my system settings reverted to speaker audio, OBS didn't do the same thing. So OBS is sitting there patiently waiting for my headphones to reconnect. as I'm sitting out, intentionally trying to disconnect, because that was the moment where I'm like, intentionally trying to disconnect from the stream and just go out and go to the hot springs and relax and unwind so I can come back fresh. I didn't want to turn on the stream. I just wanted to, put on some classical music. Usually, actually, I think it was Fly By Now I was listening to at the time, and just kind of meditate, So then I decided, I should go check up on it. I check in on the stream on my laptop because I bring my laptop out to the hot springs, and I see the absolute panic chaos there. So I actually hopped out of the hot springs, ran back inside, disconnected my headset, powered it back on, checked the audio, and then went back out without actually engaging it or mentioning that I did that. And then the audio miraculously came on. Wow! And yeah, my headphones lasted the full 24 hours with only about, 20 minutes of charge in about 12 hours in? These things are amazing. I love them. So that's the truth. That's what actually happened during the audio break there. That's on me. I should have set the audio capture specifically to either the Discord call or I should have disconnected my headphones and realized that and switched over the desktop audio to be from my speaker audio and just muted my mic. I just didn't think about it. I didn't realize it was going to be a problem. That's really what it was. I thought that OBS was going to follow system settings, and I was wrong. So I apologize for that. It was funny, though, so I don't actually regret it. Good night, Ollie. That was a great moment. I have to scroll up because there were some more questions that I have missed. Do I ever plan on streaming or playing the strategy shipping game Fire Emblem? I've never got into Fire Emblem mostly because of the permadeath. The permadeath in Fire Emblem really turns me off. It might be fine as a streamer, just because those can turn into oh no moments, kind of like the Nuzlocke. But it's the same reason I never played a Nuzlocke on my own. I never really wanted to engage in those moments. Permadeath is toggleable? Oh, it must be a thing in the newer ones. I don't know. I do play XCOM, but for some reason, I don't know why, in my brain mind, XCOM and Fire Emblem feel very different. I don't even know if I can really articulate why that is, but as much as I love XCOM, I have actually never played an entire Fire Emblem game. I started playing one of the old ones for... heck. I want to say Game Boy Advance, maybe? But then I cut it out, and I just never really went... I never had the inspiration to go back. I never really felt the need to return to the series. If people are super hyped for it, I'm not opposed to it. You know, it's not like I don't have anything against the series. I have no animosity towards it, if you will. So if people are interested in me returning to Fire Emblem and trying it out again, I wouldn't be opposed. I did avoid playing any Jrpgs for a very long time. Mostly because it's a lot of dead air to fill, and it's a lot of repetitive engagements. It's a lot of repetitive combat that I was afraid would be difficult to fill time through. The first Jrpg I played was the Pokemon Nuzlocke, and that was really a test. It was a test to see how it went and how my audience reacted, and I know I can talk about Pokemon. I can talk about Pokemon for hours, both from the game development side and from the community-based side, and as well as the commentary on the game itself. So I knew that I know I'd be able to do that. And it went well. Honestly, I think it went well. People liked it, and I had a good time doing it. So now I'm planning on queuing up the more JRPGs, specifically the Final Fantasy VI one that I had mentioned. And yeah, so we can look forward to more of that in the future. Also, Fire Emblem has a lot of very long cutscenes, which... Okay, I don't know how many people have been here from a very long time ago, but I used to have a series on the channel called Epic Thursdays, where I played whatever the free game was on the Epic Game Store. Because Epic Games... that needs to be... There. There, let's do that. That should be good. Because Epic Games offers a free game every Thursday, and so I started playing Epic Games every Thursday. Whatever the free game was on the Epic Store, that was going to be the game I was going to play. It was a great way of introducing myself to new genres, new games that I might not have picked up, that I might not have even considered. And let's be honest, it had built-in SEO, built-in marketing, because people who are seeing these free games are going to say, hey, I wonder what that's like. Oh, look, there's a streamer playing it. And I got some people who joined in that way. It was very good. And then Epic kind of dunked me on that. They kind of really ruined that. I'm not going to get into why. I've talked about it before, I believe. But some of my favorite games came from that. The Lion Song and... yeah, what's it called? The First Tree was there. That was a game where I literally was... one of the only times I was actually crying on stream, first because of the intensity, the emotional intensity of that moment. Anyways, this is all to say that there was a couple of games that were extraordinarily cutscene heavy. Specifically the 3 out of 10 games, which are adventure games, puzzle games, that have a long cutscenes in between. They're fun games. They play sort of like an early 2000s webcomic story plotline, and they're fun. I recommend them. Next time they come up for free on Epic, go play them. But the games were so cutscene heavy, and the cutscenes were so long, and they were all fully voice acted, and quite well voice acted at that, that I found myself as a streamer just sitting here doing nothing. I found myself just sitting in front of the stream, not having much to say because the game was being so loud about it. You know, the game was streaming itself, and I felt like I wasn't as useful. I didn't need to be there at that point. And I didn't like that as a streamer, because it wasn't me and my experiences. It was just watching somebody else's cutscenes that were pre-made, you know? And that didn't sit great with me. I forget what question I was answering about this. Oh yeah, that was my fear for JRPGs, is that long cutscenes would of other people's content that's might be in copyright. I might get DMCA for any of those cutscenes. I got copyrighted once on copyright struck once on Pokemon, actually. Not from Nintendo. Not from the company, any company that actually owns the rights to the Pokemon. They copyright dinged me for Pokemon because bloody heck. Because they could, I guess. Jeez. Ah. But yeah. What was I talking about? Two suggestions. Oh, here we are. Oh boy. Oh, you hit a Magus. Magus, you actually dinged on something that's been a long time coming on this channel. There's actually a meme between me and my mods. So, Spiritfarer, I do want to play. I was going to play it a while back, but Johnny Jellyjaw, if you don't follow Johnny Jellyjaw, go follow him. Tell him that Jade the Kobold sent you. He's a great streamer. He's a good chunk bigger than I am. But yeah, he was streaming Spiritfarer around the time that I was going to start it, so I kind of sat back and said, you know what? Nah, I'll not do that right now. I don't want to step on his toes. But Disco Elysium. There is a running joke between me and my mods that the day that I stream Disco Elysium is going to be the day that I pivot and and start talking about more politics and stuff. Because I don't talk about politics on the channel. I try not to. I genuinely don't. But my views are not hard to figure out. I mean, I'm a kobold that doesn't believe in serving dragons. I think that alone tells you enough about my political stances to... So there's a running joke that that I will stream Disco Elysium, and that will be that will be a rebranding moment. It's a fantastic game. I have played through it. I have watched a playthrough of it. I have watched a playthrough of it one time with someone, and I really do. I think it's very interesting. Fantastic game. Go play Disco Elysium, friends. Go do it. It's a good game. Okay. Inscription. You know what? I'm down. I'll hold you to that. That sounds delightful. What is it? What is the game? Hold on. Let me see what this game is. Oh, this. I actually have heard about this. I was actually thinking about this fairly recently. Yeah, no, I'm in. Let's count that. You know what? Yeah, that sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. Give me a day. The thing is that Pokemon Legends Arceus is coming out on Saturday, and I need to jump on that. I need to get on that. We'll work it out. I'll contact you over the weekend. Actually, I was going to contact you over the weekend for some other stuff anyways, but yeah. Yeah, we can figure that out. Where am I? Who's my favorite... Wait, no. Yeah. Who's my favorite collab partner and why? That... So, a lot of my collab partners have been here and gone. I've had a lot of collab partners who showed up for 1 or 2 episodes and left. And I love all of them. They're all great. This was mostly because I wanted to collab with people, and I figured that doing the meme reviews that I was doing with collabs for one-offs were a lot of fun. One of the first big long-term collabs I had was with Yuki, and Yuki is a delight, but she's a little bit hard to communicate with because she was like, yeah, I'm down for a collab. I'm down for a long-term collab. But then she didn't talk to me at all between the collab things, and my anxiety-ridden brain was thinking, oh no, did I do something wrong? Is something going poorly? Is everything okay? And then the next time the next collab event came up, she would be like, all right, let's go. And then, okay, cool. Yes, everything okay? Yeah, everything's great. Okay, nice. But like at the end of it, it ended on a weird note because... Yeah, it ended on a weird note because it was a game. We both had stopped having fun. We had both stopped having fun with the game. So I have ended on a sour note, and we haven't really talked since. And I don't know. She was a lot of fun, and I kind of missed hanging out with her. Overall, my best collab partner has to be Jack Shadows. If you've been watching my Minecraft series over on YouTube, you'll know who that is. They were also showed up for the Monster Train video, which was also on YouTube. The reason that these are all on YouTube and not on Twitch is because Jack has a very rough schedule. So anytime I'm going to collab with Jack, it's going to be recorded on their schedule time. But I have known Jack Shadows for half my life. And at my age, that's a big statement. At my age, knowing somebody for half my life, that's a big statement. So, yeah. But Jack also knows me back I know him and he knows me very well, so we bounce off each other. We play off each other very well. Aside from that, cheesiness is always good to have. Cheesiness is always a delight to have on. I've never had a bad experience with cheesiness. And yeah, I definitely do want to do that collab with Magus. That sounds like an absolute delight. What is Disco Elysium? Disco Elysium is it's an adventure game. It's a point-and-click adventure game. It's a modern point-and-click adventure game. And yeah. It is a bit charged. It is a bit charged in a very good way. It's shines light into dark spaces and allows you to explore topics that are usually difficult to present. And it does it in a very nice way. Good game. Do recommend. You also have stats, and your stats talk to you. Like, your stats are different parts of your brain, different considerations and different thought patterns that you have. And those different thought patterns are effectively characters that communicate with you and from their viewpoint. They are all, every single one of them, unreliable narrators who are telling you about the world or about the situation or giving you advice, and every single one of them has their own agenda. So it's a phenomenal game. I love the way it plays with the concept of a classic adventure game formula. It's sort of a point-and-click adventure game the same way that Doom is a 2D platformer. I mean, yeah, it is at its core, though. It is right at its core. It is still a point-and-click adventure game. It does throw your expectations out the window. It does take the concept, and I don't think it changes it, but rather helps it reach apotheosis. It takes the concept of the point-and-click adventure game and says, what if we did something more with this concept? Let me see if I can think of a different example. Disco Elysium is a point-and-click adventure game in the way that it's a point-and-click adventure game in the way that Papers, Please is an office simulator. It still technically is, but it takes it and elevates the concept of it so high up that it turns it into something else. I guess, I don't know. I think that's probably a good example of it. I don't know. Fantastic game. Highly recommend. What? A kobold that doesn't worship man-eating money hoarders? Look. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there's a lot more going on. There's a lot more going on, no question. And we will definitely play it on the channel at some point. I was initially going to play it with actually Cirrus, actually, at one point. That was going to be a plan, but that kind of fell through. I still want to do a collab with Cirrus, but we need to figure that out. I need to poke him. I need to poke Cirrus. He's a cool dude too. He's currently streaming right now to like a couple hundred. Doesn't he have like? Yeah, Cirrus has 150 live right now concurrence, which I mean he's rocking it. I have not heard. I have heard of RimWorld, but I don't know anything about it. Like, I don't know anything about RimWorld, but I've heard of it. 162? Yeah, that sounds about right. You shared sufficient shinies to organize a raid. Let's see. Let's, but yeah, feel free to toss down any questions about things. You know, I do think there is a lot of interesting stuff to be done about creating a story about a game that doesn't have any, and I do plan on playing Civilization at some point. I want to do it as a collab, though, because when I play Civilization, you play from a god perspective, right? You play from this overworld top-down view. You don't actually get to know anybody. So when I play Civilization, at the end of each play session, I like to think about what my culture is, what my civilization is, and what I'm teaching in schools. You know, I'll conquer an area, and then I'll sit back and think about what that means for my people. Like, yes, Endless Legend? Oh, yeah. I can see that. I love Fly By No. Fly By No is my favorite composer. I don't know if I can substantiate that because depending on the day, Fly By No is my favorite composer. It's between him and Uematsu and like Dvorak. Him, Uematsu, Dvorak, and Hulst. And yeah, I'm putting them on the same tier because they deserve it. But you know, I literally bought Endless Legend because of the soundtrack, because Fly By No did the soundtrack, and I'm like, you know what, I'm in. I'll try this out. And I'm terrible at it. I'm absolutely terrible at the game, but it's a very good game and a lot of fun. And I think that would also be a good game for me to play in my style, because at the end of each play session, considering out what I teach in my schools or what my culture is considering and adopting as their viewpoints, you know. That sort of aspect of humanity filtered into the 4X formula, I think adds a lot to it. Humankind would be another good one to do that with. Ah, Frank Kopacki? Yeah, they do a really lot of really good things. I mean, yeah, they did Hell March. That was theirs, right? Because he worked at... Yeah, he was Westwood, right? Yeah, so he did the at least one of the Hell's March remake. Which one? You know, I gotta look this up now. Hold on. Oh, yep. Yeah, he did. Yep, he did the original Hell March. Nice. I love that song. Oh, he did all of them? Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I think Hell March 2 was my favorite. Honestly, real talk, Red Alert 2, one of the best games. Like, just getting Tim Curry in there for the Soviet premiere, absolute stroke of brilliance. I genuinely don't know if anything in video gaming history will ever top those performances. Like, just... like... the cast is the cast of that game is absolutely staggering. Like so I'm just actually pulling up the cast to talk about that, because you have Tim Curry, you have Andrew Divoff, just phenomenal. You have Jonathan Pryce. You have J.K. Simmons, because apparently he was on board for this project. You got George Bloody Takai in there. Like, absolute masterpiece. Absolute brilliance. Then you get Frank doing the soundtrack for everything. Just, oh my gosh. Some of those performances still resonate as some of the best performances in history. And the game was decent. Like, the game was actually good, too. It didn't need to be. The game could have been trash, and it still would have been a masterpiece. Seriously. I do see Tuzzy's question, and I want to get on that. I'm just trying to stay on the track, on the topic we're talking about right now. You know. You prefer Tiberium? Yeah, that I liked it. I liked Red Alert 3 because of the um I liked Red Alert 3 because apart from the cast, gameplay wise, I liked the diversity of factions. Adding in the third faction to the Red Alert formula, I think did a ton. That is true. I should probably have some more water. Added a ton to the formula. Added a ton to the world. And the two faction system that it had needed to be shaken up, right? It needed to be shaken up at that point, and adding a third faction in, and having the third faction kick down the door and say we're here now. Honestly, fantastic way of doing it. Like, they could have done it as a splinter faction. They could have said, oh, US split into two different, groups, or added the what else could they have done? They could have added the EU as a composite faction. I think they were actually considering that at some point in development. But yeah, just having Japan kick down the door and say, yo, what up? That was it was a power move. It really was. No one beats the Messiah. Real talk, go play Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. Good game. Anyways, what games do I usually play in my spare time? This is a very good question, and one that I am delighted to answer. So, I play Bloons Tower Defense 6 almost nightly. Like, I crawl into bed and play a match or two on that of my phone almost every night. It's also a game that I don't want to stream a whole lot. I could stream that for hours, I could stream that for days. But because I play it to relax, I don't want that to be a game that goes into my streamer mindset. Because you have to have a different mindset when you're live. You have to have a different brain mind and a different way of thinking when you're playing games. Sometimes that's good. Sharing Pokemon with you guys was better to... It was a better experience to share that with you guys than it would have been to play on my own. Genuinely, it really was. And many other games follow that same lead, where playing them and streaming them enhances and augments the experience for me as well. Because I like games that use my whole brain. And, well, a lot of games don't. And a lot of games that I enjoy don't, right? A lot of games that I really do have a lot of fun with don't force me to think as hard as I would. Don't force me to hyper-focus as much as I want to. But being able to watching stream chat, watching numbers, watching for bots and ad stuff, doing all of these things at the same time while streaming makes the game harder. I've said it before. Anytime you're streaming, you're effectively adding the difficulty level to the game. But it also makes it more fun for me for a lot of games. So, like, Prey is a good example of a game that streaming it enhanced the experience for me. Owlboy. I wouldn't have enjoyed Owlboy if I wasn't streaming it. I loved Owlboy because I was streaming it, and because the game sharing the experience with you guys made it more fun. Now, why do I say all this to answer the question? Well, the question you asked was in a completely different direction. But this explains why. I play Bloons Tower Defense 6 to relax. Not to focus on streaming, not to be fully engaged. I play it to kick back and pop some balloons with some monkeys. So I intentionally don't stream that so that I am in a relaxed state while I play it. And because if I start streaming that, I'll always be thinking about that in a streamer's mindset. I'll be thinking about, how can I make content with this game? How can I do something, interesting and exciting and push a limit of some limit? What can I do to make this worth watching? Because I have to consider that, right? You have every single channel on Twitch you could be watching. Why would you be watching me? What can I do to make sure that I am more worth watching than anybody else? And that can be a struggle at times. I don't want to have to be thinking of all those things for every single game I play. So Bloons is an example of a game where I intentionally do not stream it because I want to relax with it. And it's hard because I know it is a popular game. Popular. Okay, never mind. Okay. But if I start streaming that, then it will take something away from it. If I start streaming that, it'll take something away from the game, whereas for many other games, streaming it adds something to the game. So I think streaming Final Fantasy VI is going to add a lot to the game, especially if I'm, going through and voice acting and trying to do the game justice and talking about the impact it had on my life. That will add something to the experience. Streaming Bloons Tower Defense will take something away from the experience. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense to me at least. Apart from that, I play some games that look like they're going to do bad on metrics. I have a way of checking analytics, I search for analytics, I see what's popular, what's not, and then if a game has poor analytics, I'm probably not going to stream it. Well, a lot of games that I enjoy have good analytics because a lot of people like them. Some games that I want to play have terrible analytics. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Jedi Fallen Order is actually a game that I've been enjoying a lot. And I'm actually have an extra key for that I plan on giving away. If we can get this to up to 20 viewers, I'll give away a key for that. But Jedi Fallen Order is a game that I've been very much enjoying. I've been having a lot of fun with it. But if I actually look at the metrics for the game, if I actually look at the popularity of a stream or of a category of it, it doesn't do well. It doesn't do well enough for me to spend my time and effort and work, frankly, to stream. So I decided, hey, I'll play it on my own time. Maneater. Maneater is another game that fits that exact same category. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Its metrics are actually like catastrophically bad. Like, let me pull it up right now. Oh, wait, there is it. Yeah, it has a high competition and a low volume, and yeah, the average views are pretty high, but the average the metrics of it are very bad compared to something else like, say, well, Pokemon Arceus, of course, which has metrics that are almost double what that would be for Maneater. So that's why you would be terrible at streaming. You do your own thing and ignore the metrics. That's fair. I mean, it's good to know that about yourself, right? I mean, that's fair. So hold on. What was the other game? I saved it here, and I'm going to pull it back up. Wait, where is it? Is it here? Yes, here we are. Let me actually check inscription metrics. Why not? Yeah, not terrible. Not bad. Anyways. Would it be cool to have Jade as a Bloons character? That would be amazing. That would be incredible. But yeah, what are some other games that I've been playing? So, Maneater, Jedi Fallen Order, and Bloons are kind of my three right now orders for games that I'm playing on my own. I do go back and I replay XCOM Chimera Squad or Monster Train. I don't want to get stuck in a rut. I don't want to get stuck doing the same game for 6 years. I don't want to fall into the same hole that, like, Brian Kibler or Savitz or even Disguised Toast for a long time when he was doing his Among Us stuff. He eventually said he started to hate it because that was all he was doing day in and day out, but the numbers were so good that he couldn't do anything else. And it's like, I really want to play a diversity of games, but I also know that I'm hurting myself and my channel by not committing to a game. So, like, my games, you have a theme, right? You can kind of look at my games and say what my theme is. I like to play games that have a storyline. I like to play narrative games that have a beginning, middle, and an end. I like to play adventuring games. Not adventure genre, but adventuring games, if you will. But I don't have a real specific, dedicated individual game that I'm going to be playing for 6 years. And that might change. I mean, I am going to be playing Lost Ark on here, and that's a game I'm going to be trying to put in a whole bunch of hours on, and maybe I will end up playing that for, nonstop. Maybe this will turn into a Lost Ark channel. Not likely. And if it does, I'll still do other things as well. I will still also make at least one other series at all times, and I will still have regular YouTube uploads for other things. Lost Ark is an MMO. It's a top-down Diablo-style MMO that's coming out next month. I'm going to be covering up that a bunch as soon as it hits the media cycle, I believe February 10th or so? Some early February. It's going to be getting a major launch / update / release. So I'm going to start talking about that. That's on the schedule. That's on my plan. That, plus I have hopefully that'll happen around the same time I finish Indivisible. Pokemon Arceus is going to I'm going to put the Minecraft on hiatus until Pokemon Arceus is done. The last Minecraft I'm going to be up recording is already recorded. And let me tell you, oh my gosh, that Minecraft has a few moments in it. Oh, look forward to that. That's airing on Saturday. That's going to be exciting. I hope you guys have as much fun on that as I did. How am I enjoying Maneater? I'm finishing Jedi Fallen Order first, so I'm playing through Fallen Order now. When I finish that, I'll start Maneater. That's just in my queue. And then, what was in my queue before that? Oh yeah, before that I did a Civilization Beyond Earth playthrough. Real talk, underrated game. Civilization Beyond Earth, fantastic game. People didn't give it enough chance. Civilization Beyond Earth is one of those games that people went into it expecting it to be something that it wasn't. People went into Civ Beyond Earth saying, wow, this is going to be Alpha Centauri 2, and it wasn't. And they hated it because it wasn't Alpha Centauri 2. People wanted an Alpha Centauri remaster, and honestly, Firaxis probably should have made an Alpha Centauri remaster. They should, not even like should have. They still should. But yeah, Beyond Earth is a very good game on its own right that most of the people who enjoy the series didn't care to give it a chance on its own merit. Let me see here. Dead Rising 4? Wait, Dead Rising. That's not Left 4 Dead, that's a different one. Okay. Inscription. Half-Life 2 is a fantastic game. Like, it's just one of those best games of all time, right? It's an evergreen game, and I'm genuinely surprised that it's aged as well as it has. I am actually shocked that Half-Life 2 has aged as well as it has. I expected that to age poorly. When it came out, and yes, I played it on launch. I played Half-Life 2 on launch. Look, I'm old. I played Half-Life on launch. Half-Life 2, when I played it initially, I'm like, this is an incredible game, and I don't think it's going to age well. And part of that was like Final Fantasy VII. Can we all admit that Final Fantasy VII did not age well? Is it, now that the remake is out, can we finally acknowledge collectively as a culture that Final Fantasy VII did not age well? It looks like a train wreck. It didn't look good on launch. Half-Life 2 like came out around the same time as Final Fantasy VII, and like, yeah, there was just better stuff available at that time, and people kept on hyping it up. It's like, no, it's a good game. It's fine. The storyline is good, but calm down. So I kind of thought the same thing was going to happen with Half-Life. I genuinely thought that Half-Life 2 was going to be like just a decent game that was going to age poorly because of its reliance on physics puzzles, because the shooting was good, but a little clumsy at a few points. Needlessly padded, absolutely, no question. But the thing is, the moments, the set piece moments that work in that game work incredibly well. Like, Ravenholm. I always want to say Ravenloft, but I know it's not Ravenloft. I think it's Ravenholm or Ravenholm. Anyways, regardless of what the name is, clearly the name of the sequence doesn't stick out in my brain. But the sequence sticks out there, like just lives rent-free in my head. The way it uses the physics puzzles that you were taught earlier in the game and adapts them into a new area in a new region. The entire finale section where you get the powered up gravity gun is just an absolute masterpiece of taking what you have learned throughout the entire game and saying, here, you've earned this, you know? And it is earned. That's where things like Fallout 4 really fall apart. Fallout 4 falls apart because it gives you the cookie too quickly. It gives you the power armor and the minigun and the Deathclaw fight in the first hour because they wanted to make sure that the reviewers could play it. They wanted the people who reviewed the game, who only played the game for an hour, then had to go write a review for their outlet to get that experience. But by allowing that to happen so early, it actually hurt the entire game, because now you have an RPG where you don't build up to anything. The actual arc, the actual engagement arc of the entire game starts high and then stays at the same point and never improves, as opposed to creating a build-up which can give you massive peaks, which can give you massive payoffs late game, like, you know, how RPGs are supposed to go. You're supposed to have that moment where you fight God. And in Fallout 4, you get the moment where you fight God in the first half an hour, and you say, okay, I guess I'm done here. The rest of the game just feels samey. As opposed to something like New Vegas, where the first time you actually defeat a Deathclaw, you are sweating blood, you know, as opposed to something like Dark Forces, where the first time that you see the later enemies, it's just like, oh my gosh, can I even do this? Whereas in that game, it's like, oh yeah, I've already fought a Deathclaw, whatever. And that's a major problem I have with that game. Not to mention the death. Everything's nerfed in that game. Everything is nerfed to match the player level, so that you never have a fight that's too hard or too easy, which means you never have a fight that's too much fun, frankly. Monster Hunter Rise. I love the Monster Hunter series. Monster Hunter is also one of those series that I was never going to stream. I was never going to stream Monster Hunter because I wanted to keep that as a series that I played on my own. I wanted Monster Hunter to be... New Vegas is one of the best games of all time, no question. I wanted Monster Hunter to be one of those series that I could play on my own whenever I want and not put myself into the streaming mindset. Then when the story of Rise was single player only, I said, okay, you know what, sure. And then I streamed it. And I had some fantastic experiences with it, and I'm glad I streamed it. But, yeah. As a Hunting Horn main, I am extraordinarily happy with Monster Hunter Rise. As a Hunting Horn main, honestly, Hunting Horn has never felt better. It's good. It's good, y'all. And Hunting Horn was phenomenal in World too, and I genuinely thought they could have just ported the World Hunting Horn into Rise, and I would have been happy as a clam. But then they added the other features, and they added some of the specialty attacks, and they had like okay, I'm sold. I love it. This is amazing. I still remember one time I joined a match, and there were 3 other Hunting Horn players there. It was really nice to see the entire North American Hunting Horn community all in one place, you know? Because all of us were there. But yeah, Minecraft. Minecraft is something that I wasn't going to play on my own, realistically. Yeah, Monster Hunter in general is one of those games that I adore. I've loved it. I think 4 was my first Monster Hunter. Then I went back and I played Try. 4 was still, honestly, after 4 had the best story. 4 actually had a plot line, which was unique to any of the other Monster Hunter games. The story is just kind of like an afterthought, right? 4 actually had a good story. At least you have more Hunting Horn than Insect Glaives. Look, je suis monté. Where am I now? Highlights of Half-Life 2. Yeah, Ravenholm. The hoverboat fight, the Hunter Chopper. Though I will say, overall, the hoverboat sequences did overstay their welcome. The hoverboats were good, but once you got to like the 3rd hoverboat sequence, it didn't really need anything else. And then they had the hoverboat chopper, which was a good payoff for all the hoverboat time you had to spend with. But I still think that the hoverboat sequences themselves dragged a little bit, especially near that point in the game. What's my favorite meme to come from the channel? What is my favorite channel meme? I mean, honestly, I do love the Disco Elysium mod meme. That we've just shared with everybody. That's a that counts as a channel meme. But I don't know. Probably Hoy. Just no. It's Whoop. It's Whoop. No, my favorite channel meme is Whoop. It is absolutely Whoop. It is Whoop. I'm just gonna spam Whoops now in the chat now. For a second I forgot about it. Then it's like, nope, wait, nope, that's the one. That's it. That's the one. No question. But yeah, Sleeping Piranha, insect glaives were all over the place in 4. They were broken as heck. They were just everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. So, I'm surprised there are more insect glaives users now. I'm not surprised that there are more hunting horn users, because there's more hunting horn users now because hunting horn is much better, frankly. It's just a much better weapon. It's fantastic. But, yeah, there used to be so many of them. Cheers, Magus. Cheers, Piranha. I'm probably going to stream for another hour or so unless people get bored. I'm just here to chat, to vibe. Yeah, the whole arson stuff, that all sprung from one... You know, real talk. Okay, here's a background for you. The whole concept of arson as a meme actually came from Jack Shadows. It's mostly coming from this meme here. This is kind of the inspiration for the entire, you know, Kobold does arson meme set. Meme set? I have no idea what phrase would be appropriate for that. Yeah, there was originally just a Klee meme. The only thing I'm guilty of is being too cute and several war crimes. It's good. It's cute. I love it. But yeah, that was sort of the inspiration for the entire... Then I did the Kobold Confession one, which is actually what I have set as my Twitch introduction is the confession video. And that did really well both on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. So it just sort of rolled off of that, right? It just sort of went from there. Let's see here. You know what? Hold up here. Let me check one thing. Feel free to toss out any other questions. What started me saying beans? Oh, that's a good question. So, that was actually, you know, this is a real talk stream, right? So this was me trying to figure out, like, if I was trying to figure out where the limit of my say-so was. I was trying to figure out where what I could say, what I couldn't say, you know, because I didn't want to say any swears, right? Obviously. I don't say swears anyways, so like why would I start on stream? And I was trying to figure out what would be appropriate to say. And the actual discussion was, is saying "oh crap" going to be too much for my style? Is that going to be off brand? And we kind of decided that it is a bit more than we intended on playing, you know, on saying. And yeah, I just was kind of rolling off my brain trying to think of other phrases to say in turmoil, you know, in a panic situation. And beans just literally came out during a stream. It was just me trying not to say me trying not to say heck for like the 3rd time in a row. You know, it was me trying to figure out something else to go with. And it stuck. It felt good to say. It was funny. It was genuine. It was natural. It was genuine. And it just sort of went from there. So yeah, that literally just came out of it came out of me trying not to say "oh heck" too many times in a row, because I felt that my reactions were getting too repetitive. Any advice for people who want to start streaming? Take an improv class. Take an improv class. Take multiple improv classes. Get a degree in fine arts. What you focus on doesn't matter, though having taking multiple mask acting classes helps. And then work a job that's improv focused for 7 years. That's all you have to do. Look, it's hard to answer that because I have lived a different experience than other people, right? That's what I've done, and that's what's worked for me, and that's where my experience builds off of. That doesn't necessarily help anybody because you have a different set of experiences. Yeah, actually, so you need to get the degree as well, so you have to get through that. So, yeah. For me, I did improv acting, mask acting, and a lot of movement for actors. A lot of movement for actors because I was stage combat. I did stage combat for a long time. If you have seen me in any movies, it's probably from as a combatant extra. But yeah, like I hate to say that because that isn't fair to you. That's not fair to there. But like, it's one of those get good moments where like I can't really say what to do because what I did is kind of on the path of my life. You know, the streaming is sort of like the natural culmination of all the other things that I've done. So for me, I have the background for it. The best thing I can say is stream and keep on practicing, but take an improv class. Seriously, take multiple improv classes. Let's see here. Oh yes, that's the other thing, is get a unicorn. Get a chatacorn. Get something, whether it's a rubber duck or a unicorn or a plush toy that you like, or something that you can talk to, and talk even if nobody is watching you. Even if you have 0 viewers and 1 bot, you should be talking so that if somebody comes in, they come in to you experienced, to you in the middle of something. Yeah, I have 3 animation cells right over my monitor, and I talk to them a lot. I have one that's a bit more intense, one that's a bit angry, and one that is very calm. And I will talk to them very often during streams because sometimes that's a good way of projecting into chat, if you will. Does that make sense? What's the craziest thing to happen to you while acting? Getting stabbed. How's that for an answer? Yeah, no, craziest thing that happened to me while acting was teaching somebody else stage combat and getting stabbed through the wrist. It cut the tendon dead on, and the tendon snapped back. I have a 20 centimeter or so scar on my arm, and that's actually going to be canon on my model when I get my full body model. I'm actually going to have the same scar on my model. It's not something I'm proud of. It was me being dumb. It was me being really dumb. It's not a pride moment. But it is something that happened to me, and it's something that, was a big deal. So yeah, turns out that when you see in anime and stuff that someone gets stabbed and blood splashes out in an explosion, that's actually realistic. I didn't know this. I did not know that. Like, I got stabbed, I looked down, and there was a clean stab wound. I was like, oh no. And then the blood exploded out, and I didn't understand, like, it projectile, seriously. So what happened was, there was so much tension. Was it me being dumb, the fellow combatant? Them. But me, but mostly them. I'll cover that in a moment. What happened was, after the incision, all the muscles were super tensed up and taut. And then, as soon as they relaxed a bit, there was, well, pressure. So it turns out that's realistic. Who knew? I didn't have my chain gloves on, and we were going a little bit faster than we should have. But I am going to blame her, because she did not have the amount of training that she said she had. This was presented to me as somebody who wanted to practice some choreography, as somebody who was already a stage combat actor. It was not presented to me as teaching a new individual. So I wasn't on guard. I didn't have my chain gloves on because I didn't think I needed them, because when I'm working with other people who are around my same skill level, I don't usually bother, because, well, there's so many other precautions that you and your fellow combatant do while you're doing it that you don't always need them. And it was dumb of me to do that. So I'm not blaming anybody but myself. I'm just also blaming her for not admitting that she was green. That's really what it is. If they had admitted that they were if they had admitted that they were as new as they were, then it would have been a much different situation. And I would have been careful, and I would have taught, and it would have been a very good, it would have been a good time. But as it stood, I was being presented with somebody who wanted to practice a few choreographed routines. I expected them to be on my skill level. I expected them to be as good as I was. And this was after I had already been... No, this was before I was in that movie. So this was when I had already been in a couple of productions, though. I had already been in a couple of stage productions. So, yeah. It was just a bad situation. It was everything that could have gone wrong did. I didn't have my gloves on. We did have safety tips on the sword, and Velemon disengage up, knocked the safety tip off of her sword. Neither of us noticed, and then the next move in the choreography after that, before any of us noticed that the safety tip had fallen off, the next motion was thrust and riposte. And they did a stop thrust. They didn't move back. They didn't take... The choreography should have been obvious. They moved forward when they should have gone back. There should have been enough time for that reaction to occur. There wasn't, because they went in the opposite direction and they didn't leave enough space to begin with. And I didn't compensate. I didn't know. I wasn't thinking that I had to be compensating at that time. So yeah, big dumb. Not something I'm proud of. Something that happened. Ah. All right. It is a story, yeah. I am actually going to play some Monster Hunter with Magus. So we're going to turn this into an impromptu collab. So I'm going to be right back. And when I return, we're going to play some Monster Hunter.